No one knows more about Canada-U.S. relations than my father, Brian Mulroney, the former Prime Minister of Canada. Always the first person I talk politics with, and he's at home in Montreal this morning. Dad, thank you so much for waking up early and talking with us. I went to bed last night pretty sure that I was going to wake up to an uncertain election. I'm not surprised by that. Are you surprised by the turn the election took?
Yes, I am. I thought that it was heading one way, and the polls, all and many of them in the United States, confirmed that. And yet there's been this extraordinary turnaround that is going to leave the United States and the world in a state of suspension, if you will, for another couple of days, if not weeks.
Well,
I was surprised, man.
I don't want to put you on the spot, Dad, but my producers tell me I have to. What's a better outcome for this country?
Well, traditionally, Canadians have loved the Democratic candidate, but history will reveal that most of the benefits that accrued to Canada as a result of this relationship, in modern history at least, comes when Republicans are in charge of the White House. Everything from free trade to NAFTA to the acid rain treaties and things like that, the Arctic sovereignty arrangement that I made with President Reagan, and of course others. But I think we'll be well treated, though, by whomever emerges as the winner.
Well, that's a good point, because we tend to focus on the damage that's been done to the Canada-U.S. relationship over the past 4 years, but a number of things have been accomplished as well. How do we move forward in our relationship with the Americans, regardless of who wins?
Well, as I've pointed out to you a couple of times before, Ben, the presidents that I dealt with directly were Presidents Reagan and Bush and Clinton. And these were all gentlemen who admired Canada, who respected Canada, and who didn't think that the relationship had to be one-sided at any time. They put water in their wine, as we did, which is the way you conduct yourselves internationally, with respect and admiration and so on. So we were always well treated by those with whom I was in charge, with whom I discussed things. Prime Minister Trudeau has had a more difficult role than I had, because as we all know, Mr. Trump will never be accused of excessive diplomacy. And so our friend Justin, Mr. Trudeau, had a lot more difficulty than we did. That said, the most important trans-border challenge that came to him was the renegotiation of NAFTA. Had we lost that, you'd lose a part of the backbone of the Canadian economy, and an important one, too.
Sorry, go on.
I thought the conduct of the relationship throughout that, and that of Chrystia Freeland, who was principally responsible on the ground, I think they did it very well. And the NAFTA that we have today has been preserved for an indefinite period of time, and that is vital to the economic well-being of Canada.
Yeah, you mentioned the working and personal relationships you had with U.S. presidents, always very positive. But I have to assume that there were other world leaders that you worked with that were more challenging. How did you approach those relationships? In other words, how hard is it for a person like Justin Trudeau to work with a difficult leader?
Well, it's extremely difficult, because you can only sort it all out personally. And you have to be together to do that, basically. And almost all of the relationship with the United States, which is by far our most important bilateral relationship, by far. And that only the Prime Minister can do that, with the White House, the administration, both parties in the Senate and the House, and even the journalistic community down there, and the interest groups, because they all impact each other in the course of arriving at a decision. And so the Prime Minister has an enormous burden to bear in making certain that this giant next to us, on whom we depend so much for our economic advancement, that relationship is maintained and it flourishes. And as they say, it ain't always easy.
Whoever wins the White House is going to be there for 4 years, which means there could be a turnover in government here in Canada at some point. Aaron O'Toole and the Conservatives may come in and lead this country. How does the dynamic change if there is a shift in leadership up here?
Well, it all depends on the Prime Minister. He's the one who makes the decisions. He's the one the Americans look to. And he's the one who has to drive the Canadian agenda down in Washington. Now, he's assisted by Foreign Affairs and so on. But it's his responsibility. This thing that happened, that we're going through now down there, Ben, the election, this is like, kissing your sister kind of thing. And I don't see much affection down there at all for kissing anybody. They're all, one of the realities is that emerges is the complete and absolute polarization of American society. There's no communication, there's no affection, there's very little respect, as you could tell from the campaign. And yet, throughout all of these problems, President Trump has maintained his lead in all of the areas that affect him. The Republicans appear to be keeping the Senate. It'll be a very, very tight one. And the Democrats appear to be enhancing their position in the House. And the Supreme Court has just been strengthened by the appearance of another conservative judge, a very good one apparently, and so they have a 6-3 majority, the conservatives on the Supreme Court. Talk about a recipe for paralysis. It was always bad, and now it's going to get worse. And someday, they're going to have to do with. These are like two warring tribes who never give anyone else the courtesy of a comment, a favorable comment, or an more open attitude, and a desire to work together on important things that affect the United States. And if they affect the United States, they affect Canada. And that's where our interest comes in. And that's why it is so important for whomever emerges that the Prime Minister be down there for breakfast or lunch or dinner, for informal meetings with the President to advance the Canadian agenda. And I'll bet you $1 to a donut that without the President on side, major issues for Canada are not going to be resolved.
Dad, a lot of the people around here have wondered where my expression $1 to donut comes from. Now they know. Thanks so much. We really appreciate it. I love you, Dad.
Thank you, Ben. I love you too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.